We need to stop pretending that every company is going to win in the AI era. In this video, I'm going to go for a walk and talk to you about why too many companies are going to completely tank their attempt to reinvent their business with AI because they're still not thinking of it as an opportunity to reinvent their operating model. They're still thinking of AI as a technology project. The reality is that a technology project is something which has a defined end date. You might be migrating from one database provider to the other. You might be putting in new features on your mobile app. These are discrete things that you can plan out to some reasonable level of confidence, leverage existing frameworks around how you do development, how you do testing, how you do product, and end up, if you put in the effort and have the right people working hard and the right capabilities in place, getting reasonable results that you have some level of control over. AI transformation is not like that. And in fact, I'd argue that it's not like digital transformations of old. Digital transformations of old were an attempt to try and pull companies out of the paper-based workflows that were still really dominant until the late 2000s. It partly worked through a large amount of outsourcing, offshoring, automation, and a lot of structural change in how businesses were set up to deal with what managing workflows on big software platforms looked like versus managing workflows where you had large amounts of paper processing happening. As part of that, mapping and understanding all of the different business processes was a key part of the journey. And what happened was companies learned and evolved what didn't work for their own business. When I think about how some companies are approaching AI transformation today, the reality is that many are looking at it as a get out of jail free card for all of the operating model mistakes they've made over many, many years. The reality is that if you haven't invested in understanding your business processes, mapping them out, making sure they're efficient, making sure the organization is designed in a way so that your people are empowered to do the right thing, deliver great service, do high quality work product and get it out the door every day. Rolling out AI licenses isn't going to magically turn your business into some sort of super machine. This realization that all of the lessons we learned in the past about program management, transformation, change management is something that I write about a lot on my newsletter, Getting AI to Work. You can subscribe by clicking the link in the description below. And one thing that I found super interesting in writing that newsletter over the last year and a half is that it's led me to think more about the economics of why do we set firms up? If you go back to Ronald Coase and the theory of the firm, the idea is that transactions outside a firm can be costly. If we're outsourcing something, we have to spend time assessing who the vendor is, monitoring their work, checking for quality, and then integrating it back into our little team that we've put together. Whereas if we're doing work inside our firm, we're delegating to someone we hired, they've got a clear set of OKRs, KPIs, whatever, and they're going to deliver to that, and we can manage them if they're not performing to that standard. AI adds this other sort of production factor into the mix, where you need to use the leverage of AI tooling to not only get work done, but coordinate work both across teams and outside your firm as well with customers and other stakeholders in your ecosystem. And what this means is that you're in a situation where if you have set up your business to be genuinely technology first, where you have APIs for everything, you have all the data quality, you have as good systems as you possibly could for the size and scale of your business, then you're actually going to be able to get a lot of leverage out of AI tools. Because when you connect your preferred desktop client up to different platforms and start asking natural language questions, it's going to be coming off good quality data. It's going to be coming off a lot of that upfront effort having been put in. So you're earning a return on doing the right things over the years gone before. And we all know that that is just not how a lot of companies run. So to go back to why this AI transformation is going to be so much harder for a lot of companies, it's that AI is acting as kind of like a sunlight disinfectant, where when you run into problems with an AI transformation, there's two things that are going to be exposed. The first is you've got a people and a culture problem. The second is you've got a major technology and data problem. And the reality is to get to that next level, to start realizing the benefits of an AI transformation and get those workflows humming, you're going to need to fix one or the other. Fixing both can destroy companies. And there are many cases where trying to fix technology underinvestment by suddenly doubling down on massive technology programs and transformation programs leads to quite poor outcomes, because you're effectively trying to squeeze 10 years of problems into a 2-year transformation program. You definitely don't want to be doing that. So that's partly why focusing on people and culture and setting up an environment where people can safely experiment with AI workflows, make their daily lives easier, get workflows deployed to a production environment where they can start realizing benefits and free up time, or potentially free up room for layoffs if that's what you need to do, is a much better way of approaching it than this big bang, big transformation approach. If there's one thing I learned in my corporate career, it's that it's always better to scope small and ship something than to scope big and end up stuck in a doom loop of testing. When we see people say that we're not seeing the benefits of AI in the economic data or the unemployment rate or things like that, and that companies are struggling to justify the return on their token spend, the reality that's coming through in a lot of the conversations I have is that AI is actually exposing a lot of the blockers, the things that, because we didn't think about them properly 5, 10, 15 years ago, now to get that full leverage means that we need to do a massive fix-up and clean-up program to actually build the right foundation on which to then start automating things. It's a crazy situation, but a lot of companies are like this. If this sounds like you or a company you work at, drop a comment below letting me know what you think about some of the stuff that I'm talking about. I'll be interested in hearing what your perspective is on all of this. For me though, I think the key thing to remember is AI is an emerging technology, and a lot of people haven't figured out exactly how they want to use it properly yet. And they're also hamstrung by a lot of technology mistakes they made in the past, which means to actually get really good leverage on the technology, they need to use AI to help clean up a lot of the issues that they have. Funnily enough, that's actually one of the best use cases for AI. Fix the bugs in the internal applications. Make handling customer support quests easier. Close all the gaps between data and system 1 not talking to data in system 2. All of these sort of quality of life little nit type fixes are where a lot of that value inside companies is going to come from AI transformation. I'm going to be making more videos like this, so if you're interested in this style of conversation, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.